Alright, this is the final exam review. It's the 8th one we're doing, so you should have 7 other exam reviews. This will complete your set of 8. These are things you can look at over the weekend to get yourselves ready. All of these are on YouTube except, I believe, number 5 I forgot to put up there. I forgot to record it. So they should all be up there except there is one missing. So just be aware of that. So if you are studying over the weekend, you're drawing a blank on something, check that out. Here is the equation we're using for these. This is y equals mx plus b. Remember, m is the slope, b is the y-intercept. So when I give you m and b, you just put the m in the m spot and the b in the b spot. So number 1, y equals 5x plus 3. Number 2, 1/4 is the m, so it goes in front of the x. And then when you're adding 0, remember you don't need to write that. It won't even be an option on the final. So y equals 1/4 x is the answer there. Remember, slope is another word for m. Y-intercept is the b, so this is y equals negative 1x is the same thing as negative x. And then plus negative 3 is the same thing as minus 3. So that's what number 3 would look like on the final. Next one, we have y equals 2/5 x plus 1. Horizontal lines are always written as a y equals. In this case, it's y equals 6. Vertical lines are always written as an x equals. In this case, it's x equals negative 3. Raise your hands if you have any questions on these. Same process on 7 and 8, except I don't give you the information. You have to find it. So we have to find m and b on both of these. To find m, we do rise over run. So we're going up 1, right 2. So the slope is 1/2. And the y-intercept is 6. So this is going to be y equals 1/2 x plus 6. On the next one, the b is negative 2. You're going down 1 and right 3. So down 1, right 3. So negative 1/3 is the m. So we have y equals negative 1/3 x minus 2. Raise your hand if you have questions on the first page. Alright, on the word problems. First one is all about driving. So Kevin is 70 miles from his house. He drives 40 miles every hour. So the starting number, that's our b, is 70. And he's changing 40 miles every hour. So that's our m. So this equation will be y equals 40x plus 70. I want to know, well, how far is he after 5 hours? So for part B, you are going to make the x a 5. Then you can just type it in your calculator. 40 times 5 is 200 plus 70 is 270. And we're talking about miles. Alright, I will give you a nice hint on the final. There is a word problem on there, and it does have to do with renting. It's not renting a car problem, but it is renting something. Like we had one on your last chapter there, renting a calculator. We've done a lot of car rentals, but it is about renting something. So it's going to be very similar to problem number 10. One of the questions will be like part A, one will be like part B. So just be aware of that. Alright, so in this one we're talking about a car. Remember, if you're talking about a calculator or a vacuum or whatever you're renting, it's going to be the same type of setup. Just figure out what the initial fee is. That's your B. So no matter what, no matter how long you keep it, you always have to add $150 on the end. So that's the B. This is the change because that's what they're charging you every day. Sometimes when you rent something, it's by the hour. Sometimes it's by the week. So whatever the unit is, just look for what the change is. So how much is it going up each day or week or month or however long it takes, all right? So once you know the M, that's the change, and then the initial fee, that's the B, then you can write your equation. So y equals 25x plus 150. Alright, and then in this problem they're keeping the car for 4 days, so that's going to go in for your X. That's going to be 25 plus 4, that's 100, plus 150 is 250, and we're talking about dollars here, so $250. All right, last one was the necklace example. We've looked at this one several times. I just sort of changed the numbers around. This person already has 18 necklaces made. That'll be the B, because that's where he's starting. And then he's adding 2 necklaces each day. So that's the change number. That's the M. So Y equals 2X plus 18. In this particular problem, we want to know how long it takes them to make 30 necklaces. I'll do the work over here. 30 is the total. So this one's a little different because we're putting the number in for the Y, not for the X. And that's because it's the total. So to solve for the X part, we subtract 18. It's going to be 12 equals 2X. And then you divide both sides by the 2. So this will take 6 days to make all those necklaces. What are your questions? The hard part with the parallel lines and the perpendicular lines is keeping them straight. Remember, parallel lines have the same slope. Perpendicular lines is when you change the slope. A lot of students on Chapter 4 tests were getting these backwards, okay? When you see parallel, those are the easy ones. When you see perpendicular, that's the one with the extra step, okay? So do not flip-flop them. You'll get this entire section wrong, okay? So parallel, you just take the slope from the old equation, stick it right in the new equation without changing it at all. Don't do extra work here. You'll end up talking yourself out of the right answer, okay? So just steal the slope. Don't look back, okay? Y equals 4x plus 0 is the same thing as just y equals 4x. And then 15, y equals negative x plus 6. So again, you just take the slope from the old equation, write a new equation with the new b. That's for parallel. Don't start flipping and changing signs until you get to a problem that says perpendicular. Yes, very good. Any questions on the parallel section? These are so easy, that's why we went so quick. Alright, one more for parallel. It's where we actually have to graph it. Kind of like on the first page, you have to find the M first. You do that from the graph, so just pick 2 points. It looks like the slope is negative 1 over 1 on this one. Remember, that's just the same thing as negative 1. And then my B is given right below the graph. I want the new B to be 6. So this is going to be y equals negative x, or negative 1x, plus 6. Now you have to graph it, so you want a y-intercept of 6. Down 1, right 1, down 1, right 1. And there you go. Do you have any questions? Alright, now to the section that takes a little more work. Remember, it's a little more work when you see the line or the word perpendicular. That's when we need the opposite reciprocal. So you take the slope, and to find the new slope, you flip it and change the sign. So what would I get if I flip this and change the sign? 2 over 1, and it's going to be positive. Well, 2 over 1 is the same thing as 2. So the answer here is y equals 2x plus 4. You still use the new b. You don't use the old b at all. The 7 is not important. You take the old slope, you flip it, change the sign, and use the new b. So what is the new slope on number 18? Negative 2 over 3. Very good. Flip it, change the sign, and then my b is 5. So y equals negative 2 over 3 x plus 5. All right, on number 19, it's a little trickier because it's not a fraction. If it's not a fraction, make it a fraction by putting a 1 on the bottom. So what's the new slope? 1 over 2, you got to make it negative. So negative 1 over 2. Good. So y equals negative 1 over 2x minus 12. And last one in this section, what's my new slope? 5 over 3. Very good. So we have y equals 5 over 3x, no plus 0. You don't need a plus 0. It's not important, not necessary. And it won't even be an option on your final, so be aware of that. Any questions? Alright, so I need to find the old m. The old m. Pick 2 points. Looks like I'm going down 1, right 2. So the old slope is negative 1/2. What's the new slope? 2 over 1, which is just 2. Very good. So my b is up here. This is y equals 2x plus 1. That's what I need to graph. So start at the 1. Go up 2, right 1, up 2, right 1. Connect it, and then make sure they look perpendicular. Remember, perpendicular lines, they cross to form right angles. Remember, right angles are like the corner of the room or the corner of the doorway. They're nice, neat, perfect little angles. That's exactly what we're getting here, so we're good. Alright, if you're getting 2 lines that cross like this, or something weird, not nice and neat, you wouldn't want your room, the corner of your room, to look like that, okay? So, those are not right angles, so you can kind of check using that method. Questions? Alright, moving right along to what I think is the easiest section in this chapter. X and Y intercepts. So number 22, what is the X intercept? What is the y intercept? Whoa. Negative 2, right? Make sure you're looking at the axis. Good. All right, number 23 is right below that one. Make sure you're looking at the right graph. What? Oh, sorry. It's just 1. My bad. Thank you. All right. The next one, though, what's the x-intercept?
It's 3.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Back it up. It is not 3. For x. X. Look at where it crosses the x-axis. It's at 4.
This is hard. I don't like this.
This one?
It don't even. Because it looks like it's 3 on that paper. Right.
Oh, your paper looks like it's a 3?
Yeah, it's on 3. No, it's literally.
I'll make sure on the final that it's very obvious, okay? I'll double check after I print it. Microsoft Word isn't great for graphing. So if it looks like a 3 on yours, you can put a 3, that's fine. The final's multiple choice, remember? So if it looks like a 3, but 3's not an option, then it's probably the nearest number, okay? All right, and what's the y? Negative 2. Okay, at least the y showed up on that one. All right, and then number 24? 4, and then the y is 3. So it seems like you guys are getting it, so it must have just been a bad printing job on number 23. So don't stress out about it too much. Any questions on these 3 besides right here? That's kind of where we lost it. All right, there's one more on this section. X-intercept of 2. So how do I graph a line with an x-intercept of 2?
You put an X on the X one.
Okay, so I put a point on the 2 on the x-axis, put a point on the 5 on the y-axis, connect them, arrows on the ends. Good. All right, that is the final exam review. So what are your questions that you need to answer before the final?
I'm ready for it. I am.
None? Okay.